So mga kababayan, natatawa si Senador Drilon dito kay Soto sa pagtatanong kay Michael Yang. Mantakin mo si Michael Yang pala mga kababayan ay 22 years na dito sa bansa. Ay mantakin mo sa maniwala kayo at saka hindi. Hindi marunong magtagalog ni hindi marunong mag-English. At itong tao na ito ay naging economic advisor ni President Duterte mga kababayan. So kayo nang humusga dito mga kababayan. Nakakatawa talaga ito mga kababayan. Panoorin nyo.
It served the subpoena on Mr. Yang. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Which I think the security guard denied.
就是说那个保安就是
你跟他说，我已经出国，就半年没有回到这个地方了。他可能以为我是没有回来住了，也没有授权给他书，他就这样答。他是一个普通员工，我不知道。
Mr. Chairman, according to Mr. Yang, because he has been out of the country for a period now, maybe the person thought that he may not be coming back, and that's why
我已经半年没来住了。
So he thought that probably Mr. Yang will no longer be coming back. So maybe that's why he said, and then because he is an ordinary staff or employee, that's why he gave that response.
Okay, I think at least that's clear that is his place of residence. How long has he been staying in the Philippines?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the second question?
How long has he been staying in the Philippines? I'll remove my mask na nga. Sige. All right. How long?
我在菲律宾有22年了。
Mr. Chair, to answer your question, number one, yes, that is his place of residence. Number two, he has been in the Philippines for 22 years.
22 years. Okay. My next question is,
Tagal din pala, pero
when,
magtagalog.
how, and why did you become involved in with Parmalee?
给他这个是给他说这个公司我没有参与，我也不知道有这个公司。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he doesn't know and he has no relation to Parmalee.
I would like to remind Mr. Yang that he's under oath, Mr. Interpreter.
Yeah, 他说呢，他要提醒你，你在那个有
说我是看到新闻才知道这个黄明利中这把投票。
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang is aware that he is under oath, and it is only through the news that he found out that of the existence of Parmalee Pharmaceutical.
So he maintains that he has nothing to do at all with Parmalee. Is that correct?
Senator Lacson, just one moment. I just want to call the attention of the official interpreter of the Blue Ribbon, Ms. Lingling Ponce. Ms. Lingling Ponce, please make sure that we're getting an accurate translation.
Yes.
Ms. Lingling Ponce, are you there?
Yeah, here.
Sorry?
Can you see me? My video is on. Yeah, here.
Okay. Are you giving us an accurate interpretation? Make sure that we're getting an accurate interpretation.
Sure.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, Miss.
There's a variance, tell us. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay.
You may answer, Mr. Yang.
所以你回答就是刚才的问题，说你到底有没有任何跟这个 Parmalee 制药公司有什么关系呢？
你跟他说，他这个说的太宽了。跟他说，他们这个黄明利以前他们做这个生意我不知道，后面他来找我们后面他有来找我采购，我才 帮他，我不知道他用这个公司，我只有他人来找我，我不知道他的公司。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Yang said is that initially he doesn't know of the existence or the whereabouts or anything about Pharmally Pharmaceutical. Later on, they did approach him for some assistance.
So it is not true that he has nothing to do or he had nothing to do with Parmalee.
Mr. Chairman, your question pertains to the corporation or on the operations. We just like to clarify on that part.
First, the corporation, Parmalee Pharmaceuticals.
就是
He knows-
你
Yeah.
有关于这个公司的成立注册有关系吗？
没有，我没有。
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we'd like to clarify that in terms of the registration or setup of Pharmally Pharmaceutical, Mr. Yang has nothing to do with it.
That is correct. But does he have anything to do with the operations of Parmalee Pharmaceuticals at any point?
那关于他们的运营，你是否有插涉到吗？
没有，
In-
因为我不知道他，我没有。
Mr. Chairman, in terms of operations, Mr. Yang has not been involved or he has no idea.
你们两个电话的什么不知？
Does he know Wang Chuyan,
你认识黄
the
主
chairman
任
of
吗
Parmalee?
给他说17年，他跟他爸爸来见过我一次，后面我就没有见过了。
During the 2017, he met Mr. Huang Chuyan together with his father, and after that, they have no any communications.
Does he know a certain Lincoln Ong?
你认识一个
认
Lincoln?
识，
Yes, he know Mr. Lincoln Ong, Mr. Chairman.
How did he know Mr.
你
Lincoln
怎
Ong?
么认识 Lincoln Ong?
他以前他们亲戚也跟我说，就是这样联系的。
Before, Mr. Yang knows the relative of Mr. Lincoln Ong. That's why he got to know him.
Nakakatawa.
Did he have any business dealings with Mr. Lincoln Ong?
你有
Whether
没
in
有
his personal capacity or in his capacity as one of the incorporators of Parmalee Pharmaceuticals?
Okay, 你有没有跟林立做过生意，特别是在这个 Pharmalee 制药公司
没有，
？Mr. Chairman, no.
No business dealings with Mr. Lincoln Ong?
你有没有跟 Lincoln Ong 有任何？Mr. Chairman, can you just be more can you just repeat the question?
Did he have any business dealings with Mr. Lincoln Ong, whether in his personal capacity or as a stockholder or incorporator of Parmalee Pharmaceuticals?
OK， 你有没有跟林立这个林肯任何的生意来往交易，就在这个 Pharmalee Pharmaceutical 公
没
司
有。你是说交易是什么时候？是说什么时候？
？OK， Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang would like to ask in terms of what specific period you were pertaining to.
In the supply of PPEs, medical supplies like face masks, shields, etc., etc., in relation to the transaction dealings of Parmalee with the PSDBM, to be
Okay.
more specific.
So, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, your question is if he has any dealing or anything to do with the transactions pertaining to PSDBM and Pharmalee Pharmaceutical.
Yeah, PPEs,
For
supply of
PPEs.
PPEs,
Supply of
surgical
PPE.
masks, face shields, face masks.
OK， 你在这个有没有跟那个预算部和 Pharmalee 这边呢有没有任何关系，就是干涉到你提供材料像资料物料像这些口罩、面罩、防护衣？
你给他解释哦。对于方面力去竞标，我从来没有不知道，也没有参与过。你先给他解释。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang would like to clarify to say that when Pharmalee did get their their contracts, he has nothing to do with any of those contracts or awards.
第二就是后面他们以前面做生意不知道，后面有一个 PP 林坤有来找跟我帮忙，我有给他介绍中国的朋友，给他们有这个资源，有这个能力也帮他们。
Okay.
我只有
Then
介绍
eventually, Mr. Lincoln did approach Mr. Yang, and then he helped Mr. Yang introduced friends to Mr. Lincoln who could help them with their supplies.
That is correct. That's the point I was trying to point out, Mr. Chairman, that Mr. Michael Yang was the one who acted as a go-between or middleman between Lincoln Ong or Parmalee Pharmaceuticals and the suppliers from China. Is that correct?
So, Mr. Chair, your question again, that Lincoln and
No. Mr. Michael Yang acted as a middleman
okay, 你是作
between
为中间人
Parmalee
嘛？
Pharmaceuticals through Mr. Lincoln Ong and the Chinese suppliers of the medical supplies in relation to the
确
procurement.
立做他那个林立的那个 Pharmalee 制药公司和这个供应商这些工厂的中间人嘛？
你跟他说，我就介绍他们自己讲。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he only introduced and let them discuss things on their own.
So that was his only role. He introduced the suppliers to Mr.
你只
Lincoln
有
Ong,
这个
and
角
then he had
色，
nothing to do with the supplies anymore.
所以你只有这个角色，就是介绍他们，然后
是
就没
帮忙他
有在做别的。
们介绍中国朋友，跟他们去自己买卖。
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he only introduced them and then they discuss things on their own.
And he stopped all his participation.
I'm sorry, come again, Mr.
And he
Chairman.
stopped all his participation
然后你就
in the dealings between the Chinese suppliers of the medical supplies that I mentioned and Mr. Lincoln Ong. They
所以
just
自从
he
你就
just left
停
them
了
on their own.
然后没有再参与吗？
不要说，我就介绍后面他们有拿，我看到他们拿货自己去哪里买有的，我就不知道了，因为我不是，我只有给他介绍一部分。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he only introduced as to where or who they close their dealings. He's not
看到他们
part.
都当
He does not know who or where did he actually purchase those stocks.
And he never guaranteed
你没有当
with his Chinese suppliers the
Yes, yes,
credibility or the ability of Mr. Lincoln Ong to pay them.
你没有担保过。
没有，我只有给他们介绍朋友，他们自己去谈，可能朋友有帮他们奠基，还是帮他们出钱，我不知，他们去谈的。
所以你说你只有帮他们介绍，
对对，介绍
然后呢？
就是你介绍他们自己去谈去买嘛。
Okay, so Mr. Yang only introduced and then they negotiated on their own. And
厂家嘛，朋友。
yeah, and then probably the first initially introduced friends introduced some other friends for them to negotiate all of their dealings.
How many suppliers did he introduce to Mr. Ong?
你介绍了几个供应商呢？
有14个嘛，4个。
Around 4 suppliers, Mr. Chairman.
These are individuals or these are companies in
这是
China?
个人吗？或者是
这个我
公司？
是介绍朋友，这些有能力，这些人在可能去介绍找这些厂家，还是你去买货给他，我不知，就我介绍的。
Okay, so he introduced friends, individuals, and then probably these people would have introduced some other friends or companies directly to them.
That's it. That's his participation. Introduced and then left them alone.
所以你的角色就是介绍，然后就让他们自己谈谈。
对对。
Which, as it appears now, is not the case. Because he played a major role in continuously dealing with the suppliers by way of guaranteeing that they will be paid by Mr. Ong.
Yes.
So
If I may,
I
Just very
right.
quick.
Senator
Upon the
Pangilinan, yes.
yes, the questions raised earlier by Senator Lacson. First, Mr. Yang said he had no connection with Farmally and learned only about Farmally in the news. That's on record. And then after which he changed his position. He said he only met Farmally in 2017 and never met them again. And then later on, Mr. Wang admits to knowing Mr. Lincoln Ong of Farmally. And then he says he introduced Lincoln Ong to the suppliers. So he's just like the variant, just like the virus, his answers are mutating.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May we be allowed to speak?
Yes, of course. This is a free country.
我当时给他们介绍是他们问我，我跟他说你可以相信是邻里，他们没关系。我是口头给他们这个叫他们相信他。
Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Yang said is that at that time when he introduced Lincoln to the suppliers, is he also told them that they can trust Mr. Lincoln in terms of payment, that they can make their own payment. And this is a Chinese way of making or doing business is mainly because of trust.
They're public funds and they will be liable for it. And there are rules about money. You cannot just produce money from out of nowhere. Yan lang ipapaliwanag. You have to learn, you have to know that the money has got to be explained. All right? So, you know, it cannot be like that. And let me just say, let me just ask a question to Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang, you do not speak any language except Chinese?
你除了中文不会讲其他的语言吗？
你跟他说我会一点点大家咯，可是我这种没办法很新的，我没办法跟他们。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he knows a little bit of Tagalog.
Yes, all right.
But
You've been
yeah,
here
he-
since
he's having
1996, is that correct?
有一点点。
Yeah. Ano
You've
ni
been here since 1996. Correct?
对，只要跟他说我99年来菲律宾。
Yeah, he was here 1999, Mr. Chairman.
1999. Okay, I know that you were here 1996. I got some information like that, no? But you are the appointed presidential economic advisor. How did you communicate to the president then?
那你怎么当时你是怎么跟那个
I'm sure the president does speak Chinese.
经济顾问
跟他说平时简单的会，重要的我们都有翻译。
Normally, they would be having an interpreter present, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, let me show you your movie. Okay, can you show the meeting in? And I will ask the Senate to please take a look at how familiar the situation is for Mr. Yang. Very confident.
说什么？
他会播一个视频。
Quickly, please, and while we're doing that, show the other picture. You're talking to the president.
Wala, tapos na. Okay na.
Ano bisita mamaya sharing?
Sa Tagalog pa pala siya.
Correct?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, we didn't hear your question.
You're the one introducing to everybody. You had a big smile in your face. You were very confident.
介绍嘛，可以说。
你跟他说我有跟他说我大家都我不会很多，我会一点。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang is saying that his Tagalog has limitation.
因为你开会我们听
Sorry?
不懂。
His Tagalog has limitation, Mr. Chairman. Only the simple ones.
But all I'm saying is, do not make it appear that you need a translator because you're the
Actually-
presidential economic advisor, and you have to speak somewhere in English or in Tagalog. And if you have an interpreter,
Actually,
yung Malacanang is a corridor of principal power in this country, and that could, and then you can say you don't understand it, and that's one of the advantages that you may have. There you go, another picture that shows you're talking to the president, the president's office or somewhere else.
要说我给你解释我一种普通的简单的会啦。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang
I'm
is saying
trying
that
to make a point here that you can speak to the president in Tagalog or English or whatever it is you're speaking to.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang is saying that he can converse casually but with limited Tagalog only.
That's already pointed out. All right.
Yes.
I can ask you in Tagalog, and I'm sure you'll understand. After all, you've been here for the last 22 years.
非语问你肯定会
要说我这个我一般，给他说我有简单的会一问我没办法全部理解，我没办法答复。
Mr. Chairman, in terms of Tagalog, he may not be able to 100% grasp the proper
I'm
meaning.
ready to accept that already.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, tatanungin ko lang ngayon, sino ba ang nagsabi kay Ong na siyang lumapit?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, can you repeat the question? Sino po
Going back to
nagsabi?
Mr. Ong.
Mr. Chairman, before we leave the chairman's video, may I just ask a follow-up
Please,
question?
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Yang, talking again about that video that the chairman
关
showed,
于刚才那个视频，
two men to your right in the video,
那两个人在
one
你
of
的右
them
边是
Mr.
谁？
Zeng Bing Chang, and isn't the other one Mr.
一个是
Alan
郑
Lim?
炳强，一个是阿兰林吗？
给他说这个是我朋友。这个说郑炳强跟阿兰林，给他说林伟雄，这个林伟雄是给他说是林伟雄，是我朋友。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang is saying that the two person, that is one Zheng Pingqiang and the other one is Lin Weixiong. These are his friends.
So is Mr. Lin Wei Xiong the same as Mr. Alan
在问
Lim?
林伟雄是跟阿兰林一个人吗？
我不知道。
He doesn't know, Mr. Chairman.
I'll leave it at that for now, Mr. Chairman, but I think Mr. Yang knows more than he is answering at this moment. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
He's under contempt. He's not very forthright. I have many pictures of Mr. Wang with Mr. Lim. Can you show the other pictures, please? And now you got this. I did research. I didn't have to research it. I just had to look at some newspaper accounts. There. Mr. Wang, is that Alan Lin again?
问这个是不是阿兰林？
你跟他说我只有认识他叫林伟雄，我13年才认识他。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang saying that he get to know Mr. Lin Weixiong only on 2013 by the name of Lin Weixiong.
That was not my question. Okay, but anyway, what is his name? Lin Weixiong.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Lin Weixiong.
In fact, he was the same guy that was charged with
他说他这个人
involvement in drugs. And I'll show you the charge sheet.
这个你们要去调查，我不知道。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang.
I have to go because the other senators have said that you're lying. So just want to test your credibility again.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang is saying that he doesn't know about the accusation about Mr. Alan Lim that you were saying earlier.
But you have been friends with him since 2013, as you say, and he's always with you. All right? And Mr. Lin, go ahead, answer.
他在问嘛，你是13年就从跟这个阿兰林做朋友，对吗？
给他说认识就开始做朋友嘛，就说认做朋友嘛。
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just confirmed with Mr. Yang. He said that yes, 2013 he met the person by the name of Lin Weixiong.
Yeah, and you are both
你们两个
in Piley Holdings.
都是在百利。
你跟他说我们有合作一些
You are a director, and I will show you.
做一些生
Please
意。
show the holdings of Piley, and along with the others. Quickly, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that yes, he is a business partner in under Piley Holdings.
All right. So, saan yung record na may charge sheet siya? Yung pinakita ni Colonel Sherton, di ba? And then, go ahead. Yeah. There you go. Is this the same man that you're talking about?
I'm sorry, come again, Mr. Chairman.
I'm showing to you a picture of Wenli Chen,
他会给你看一个
Alan Lin,
文
and
理
that's initial profile of the drug personality. Is that Alan Lin there?
We don't have the picture yet.
Can you show the picture?
他就是在问你，他们会给你看一个照片吗？就是说林伟是啊 ，There's no picture being shown yet.
Bear with me for a while. We're trying very hard to show the picture so that you can see it. There, can you show it now? Can you see it now? Can you see it now, please? Can everybody see it? Wala pa rin?
Wala pa rin po, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry. Okay. We'll take one try and then we'll show it again. So I will ask a question to Mr. Ekman as you're trying to show it. All right? Mr. Lin, obviously you're good friends, right? Are there other pictures with you on the beach? Can you show the picture on the beach muna?
他所联系的有一
你再等一下，
些生意
他还没走。
Again, I got this from these are public yeah, there you go. There you go. There.
这我不知道啊。给他说我
Is
就
that Lin or Wen Li Chen or is he the same man?
他在问这些是一样的人吗？
我给他说我不知道我。
I don't know, Mr. Chairman.
You've been friends with him for 13 years and you don't know?
你是跟他们是已经13年的朋友，你不知道吗？
我说我联系林伟雄啊。
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said he only knows a person by the name of Lin Wei-xiong, but
Yeah,
not.
I'm showing you the picture. Di ba? Magkamukha ba? As a senator, so take a look at it.
他是不是有相似吗？他那个
这个
照片
很模糊，我跟他说我联系林伟雄，刚才林伟雄我联系这些照片，你这我不看得很清楚，我不。
Mr. Chairman, he's saying that the picture is very blurred. He couldn't confirm.
Well, I don't think it's blurred, but anyway, I'm sorry I have to ask you these questions. I don't want to put you in discomfort, but I have to ask you this just to be sure.
他要问你这些问题。
Ayan nakalagay yung pangalan ni Lin Wei-xiong.
Oo nga eh.
Oh, ito yung kilala niya.
The Senate President said the name of Wen Lin Shen is there. All right? I'm sorry, we have to ask you this.
He can't understand the English, Mr. Chairman, so he couldn't
You
read
can.
it.
You can, right?
Yes.
Translate, please.
Okay.
我联系林伟雄了。
他叫我解释嘛，因为他这边有说 with possible true Chinese， 有可能性他实际的中文名字是
这个不要说
Lin。
你们政府要去查我，跟他说我只有联系林伟雄。
Mr. Chairman, he said that because what was it?
没有关系。
Okay.
我只有联系林伟雄。
Okay. Mr. Chairman, he's saying that he only knows Mr. Lin Wei-xiong and that if you
You're
have
saying that's not the
to
same
ask
person?
government agency to do the proper investigation.
You're saying that's not the same person?
你说就是跟这个人不是一样的。
我不是说我拎不太清楚，你不能。
He couldn't confirm.
之后你们要去查。
He couldn't confirm, like he said.
你们要去查嘛。
You have, I mean, Mr. Yang saying you have to do the investigation. He couldn't confirm.
All right, but again, I show you some pictures again that we got from the public sources. These are your pictures together. Are you? You're supposed to be a good judge of character. You're perched in high places, and there you go. You're with the president, with him again. And then again, another picture, I think, on the beach, if I'm not mistaken. Can you show that? I really apologize. I don't want to put you in discomfort, but you know, this is an investigation where a lot of our people are involved. A lot of people are hungry. A lot of people have been deprived of their ayuda or help.
Here it is. Like,
Can you make it a little bigger, please?
他说这个照片他们会播放大一点。
There you go. That is Mr. Alan Lin or
他说那个是
your
Alan
friend
Lee
again and Michael Yang are the two men at the extreme left.
和你在左边。
你跟他说我联系是林伟雄，我不联系的是阿兰练是谁？
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he only knows Lin Wei-xiong and he doesn't know any person by the name of Alan Lim.
Well, that's the same person that I showed you. All right.
他说那是同样的人。
你这同样的联系你说了，我不知道
Uh,
啊，不能问我。
that is based on your statements, Mr. Chairman,
我
but
一
he
直跟
cannot
你联系
confirm
我
that.
联系你
Yeah, he only says
I
that he
didn't
only
say. I'm
knows
just
Lin
asking you.
Wei-xiong.
I'm just asking you. I've not made any conclusion. I'm just asking you. These are one and the same person.
你刚说我就是给你答了，我联系林伟雄啊。
I already replied that I only know Lin Wei-xiong.
All right. Okay. You are also in a corporation that involves a certain lady by the name of Rose Nono Lim.
有一个
Familiar
公
with her?
司有一个叫做 Rose Nono Lin，你认识她吗？
刚说有啊。
Yes, yes, Mr. Chairman.
In fact, she is the president of a corporate secretary, if I'm not mistaken, Jason Uson in Piley Holdings, Rose
Piley
Nono
Holdings.
Lin, corporate secretary, Yan
Rose
Hong
Nono
Lin.
Lin 是
And then again, you see Lin Wei-xiong,
跟
aka
林伟
Alan
雄也
Lim,
在
vice chairman.
Vice Chairman.
刚说是啊，这是我们的股东。
Yes, Mr. Lin Wei-xiong is one of our stakeholder and Rose Nono Lin as well.
And is he married to Rose Lim?
Come again, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Is he the Iko Tai Tai of, is Rose Lim Iko Tai Tai of Lin Wei-xiong, your good friend?
他在问 Rose Nono Lin
Asawa. Alam mo naman siguro kung ano ibig sabihin ng asawa
是不是林伟
or
雄
a girlfriend.
我知道是几，我说我看到林伟雄是他罗斯林是他妇联对。
Yes, Lin Wei-xiong is the husband of Rose Nono Lin.
Thank you. And then Piley Estate Group.
You
You're there again. Yang Hong Jan.
也在里头。
I'm sorry, that's your brother, right? Hong Jan Yang.
洪阳江是你的
Your brother?
哥哥吗？
刚说是我的哥哥啊。
Yes, it's his brother, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So again, by affinity, Alan Lim's in this corporation, the wife of Alan Lim, Rose Nono Lin, is also in this corporation, Piley Estate Group. And then the name of Power Megamix, shown here, Rose Nono Lim, again, president. She is, as you say, the wife. And also in Formally Biological, Wang Tzuyan appears again, our president who is here, Rose Nono Lin, treasurer, and there you go. Again, Rose Nono Lin, the wife of Mr. Lin Wei-xiong, right? And then as I go to the left, in Sean Wei, that is a Pogo Corporation. Are you familiar with that?
你认识雄伟吗？
雄伟是我认识，可是这个雄伟是他们的，我不知道，我认识。
He knows the company, but he only knows them. He knows the company, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, I'm not accused you of anything. I'm just saying these are the things that we find out. And now, Mr. Lincoln Ong, who said that he gets guidance from you to make sure that you can guarantee, and the president himself says you are the pagador, which means that you really have connections with Formally, because Lincoln Ong is able to transact business without any documentation as to where the money came from. Go ahead, I'll allow you to translate.
你跟他说，我当时就是叫中国的人相信他，我没有给他签担保，我只有用叫中国人，我们中国的方式就是我介绍，我叫他相信他。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Yang basically did was to introduce Mr. Lincoln to his friends in China for potential being a supplier, and then he also mentioned that these people that they can trust on Lincoln to be able to.
So in fact,
trust on Lincoln.
it is not accurate for you to say, and listen to my question, because you said first time you saw them and the last time you saw them was when you saw the president in March 2017. And then all of a sudden your name comes out, and now you're saying you introduced Mr. Lincoln Ong, and that his credit is good because you are practically, as Mr. Lincoln Ong says, practically a guarantor. Is that correct?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I may shed some light on that as well.
No. I'm asking the question here right now for the moment. I'll get to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. So Mr. Lincoln Ong is being guaranteed by you, and Mr. Lincoln Ong cannot show any paper trail that you got some money and that he is able to transact all these orders in China without any paper trail. And Mr. Wang says they have a bank which transacted, where they transacted a letter of credit. When I asked him, how did you manage to do that? You have a letter of credit? And I said, yes, very readily. And he said, which bank? He said, Union Bank. Very good bank. And yet, the transaction happened in November. For 7 months, 7 buwan, nung una kayo mag-transact nung April. So in between April and is it November? Where was the money coming from? And Lincoln said, "Oh, I was getting, aid from everybody. Ganyan ang Chinese way. We're not gonna accept that. You know that." Lincoln? Pwede ba yun? Nasasabihin mo lang sa amin and you expect us to believe?
Mr.
These
Chairman.
millions of pesos of the people's money that are being spent to an unknown corporation, what we call prima para, a first-time corporation with only 625,000 pesos ang capital. Tapos you're saying, oh, marami kaming inutangan, nagagaransyan ni Mr. Michael Yang na sinasabi nung una, wala siyang pakialam sa Farmally. And then all of a sudden, nakita natin ang mga connectivities, pumasok na si Alan Lim, pumasok na yung asawa ni Alan Lim, magkakasama sila. In other words, talagang paikot-ikot lang kayo dyan.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
I'll get to you. Lincoln, tama? Okay. I know that you're chomping on your bit, Mr. Wang.
Mr. Chairman.
Before we leave Mr. Yang, if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just another question to Mr. Yang. Tanong po kay Mr. Yang tungkol dun sa video na pinakita ng chairman. Sabi po ni Mr.
Hindi akin yun, hindi akin yun. Pinakita ng RITM yun.
Right, that's right, Mr.
RTVN,
Chairman. It's
sorry.
easily available on YouTube.
RTVN, sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Opo. So, sabi po ninyo, Mr. Yang, nakilala nyo si Mr. Zheng Bingchang sa video na iyon. In-identify nyo po siya. Bilang kayo yung dating Presidential Economic Advisor kay Presidente,
Wow.
hindi nyo ba siya
Economic,
pinayuhan, hindi nyo ba siya binigyan ng advice na yung mga tao na connected sa Farmally International ay fugitive na, pugante sa batas sa Taiwan kasi meron silang warrants of arrest, yung mag-amang Huang at pati si Mr. Zheng na nakilala nyo sa video?
你跟他说，我当时17年他们公司是好好，我怎么知道他们现在通缉啊？我又不是行刑，我哪能算得到啊？
Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Yang said at that time,
17年他们是上市公司。
yeah, the company is in good standing and there were no records or anything.
Pero siguro naman, Mr. Yang, dahil close nga kayo ni Presidente, matagal na, concerned pa rin kayo sa kanya. So siguro nabalitaan nyo na kahit sa dyaryo lang itong mga naging problema ng Farmally. Hindi ba kayo na-concern na sabihan siya na Mr. President, ito palang kumpanya, ang mga tao nito ay wanted for financial crimes, may standing warrant pa nga sa Taiwan. Hindi nyo ba siya in-inform?
他说呢，最近不是新闻有出来说这些人嘛，是在台湾有犯了一些法事通缉犯嘛，你没有因为你是之前的总统的经济顾问，你没有对总统有关心跟通知他说这些人是有犯过这些东西。
你跟他说我17年介绍他们来投资，他们考察不行回去，我就没有再观察他们了，也没有再联系了，我没有去，也没有去观察这些，已经没有做生意，哪有什么也没有来做生意。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Yang said that, during the 2017, he introduced, then things didn't transpire for potential business opportunity. Then after that, they have no more communication.
Oh, well, alam po natin, Mr. Chairman, na sinamahan ni Mr. Yang, si Presidente, sa opisina ng Full Wind International sa Xiamen
有
noong
带总统
2015.
去
So okay, at least sinabi ni Mr. Yang na nagkita pa sila noong 2017, pero I really find it hard to believe po na at this point in time, hindi naisip ni Mr. Yang na importanteng i-inform at i-advise si Presidente na fugitives na at ma-apprise si Presidente na yung mga tao, yung mga kumpanya na engaged yung gobyerno niya ngayong panahon ng pandemya ay wanted for criminal activities. Medyo mahirap po paniwalaan, Mr. Chairman. I'll leave it at that for now po. Salamat, Mr. Chairman.
你不
Mr.
要说
Wang,
Mr.
你不要说我17年介绍完我没有啊，他们又没有来再做生意，我要通知干嘛？我们没去，总统也没有空，天天听我，也没有来跟总统有联系，要只有通知干嘛？这是人家生意的事情。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, what Mr. Yang said that after the 2017, there has been no more communication after. There's no more business, so there's and then he doesn't always have an open. 你就是没有跟总统直接正常的那个沟通的嘛，对吧？
什么正常？你是
不是
不要说，
，sorry, let me just
你
clarify.
不要说我们17年来，他来
So 2017,
来这边考察完就没有来做生意
after
没有联系。
they
他也没
made
有
their
到
feasibility study,
去
yeah, after they made their feasibility study, then okay, then so after 2017, when they made their feasibility study, there's no business that progress, and then after that, there's nothing more to report to the president because there's no more any progress or anything about the situation.
na pinasinungalingan naman ni Lincoln. Sabi ni Lincoln, pagka sinusuguro niya yung mga supplier na backup siya ni Michael Yang.
I'm sorry, come again, Mr. Chairman. Pinasinungalingan po ni Lincoln.
That when he negotiated by telephone, which is really weird, they took their word for it because sinasabi niya si Michael Yang ang guarantor.
他说呢，你说嘛，你有帮他介绍嘛，他们只是在电话上面沟通嘛，然后呢，就说呢，你就是跟他们讲说，他们可以诉这个林管。
是啊，要说林坤中国也有人，他中国也有可能派人去谈，跟他谈嘛。
Mr. Chairman, yes, Lincoln may also have his people in China who could also probably discuss and negotiate it with these suppliers.
Question is, sabi ni Lincoln, pagkausap niya yung mga tao sa China, sinasabi niya, ang backup niya rito, or words to that effect, ay si Michael Yang. And that was okay.
他背后的支持人是杨总 ，backup 杨总。
你跟他说我没有啊
Mr. Chairman,
这个
Mr.
他要
Chairman,
说我没
may
办
I
法。
interject on his part?
Just a moment, please. I'm asking somebody a question.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
你跟他说我没有，他是说我是我跟他说这个我没有，
你只是介绍。
对，跟我是介绍。
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yang said that he just simply introduced them.
All right, so you want to limit it that, but Lincoln Ong denies it. So now we're saying Lincoln Ong is lying and that he is showing that he is misrepresenting your name. Is that correct?
Very quickly, Mr. Chair.